Hey, come on in. Welcome to my studio. Today, we're recording our trailer for our new podcast, Content Jefe. In this video, we're going to show you the behind the scenes of how we record our podcast trailer for a new podcast, Content Jefe.
We're so excited!
We're so excited about Spotify's new video podcast feature that we decided to host our brand new podcast, Content Jefe, on Anchor. And in this video, we're going to show you the behind the scenes of how I'm going to record our video podcast trailer for Spotify. And I'm going to be doing it myself, solo. I'm going to be flying solo. But before we get into the best practices and the equipment that we're going to be using, let's talk about podcast trailers. Podcast trailers are super important to attract new listeners because people will tend to listen more to a short 2-minute trailer than a whole 45-minute episode. Also, you can share your podcast trailer on social media. And that way you can promote your podcast and bring new listeners as well. When you are recording a video podcast, this is a whole new different thing. You're going to be recording your podcast trailer and you're going to be performing to the camera. So that poses a new challenge. There are different ways that you can record your podcast video trailer. One technique is to look into the camera, directly into the camera, and say your podcast trailer. But I'm not going to memorize my podcast trailer because it's too long. So what we're going to do is to use a different technique, the behind the scenes technique. So I'm going to be reading the script into the microphone while we capture the behind the scenes of me doing it. And later when we're editing the video, we're going to add some B-roll and some effects. Something that you should keep in mind when you're editing your podcast video trailer is to prioritize your audio, or as we like to say it, edit for audio first. This is because Anchor will share the video on Spotify and the audio portion of your trailer to the other podcast players. So now let's talk about what to include in our podcast trailer, and then we get to the equipment that we're going to be using. For my podcast trailers, let's just say it, I love podcast trailers. And one of the things that will capture my attention and my emotions is good storytelling. I love to include storytelling in my podcast trailers because it's just a way to connect with your audience, even if they don't know you. So for this trailer, I'm going to be talking about a personal experience that I have when I record my videos and how I overcome all these emotions and things that I go through when I have to perform. And from there, then I'll move on to who we are, why we're making the podcast, and what the podcast is about, what's the format of the podcast, and one call to action that can be find us on social media or subscribe or like or follow our podcast.
No, Studio Steve can't wait to meter la cucharadota and brag about his equipment.
Ay, pues.
Hey, my name's Studio Steve, and I'm here to talk about the equipment that we're going to be using in this video. Am I going to be using this annoying voice the whole time? I hope the hell not. We are going to start off with the Neumann U87 microphone. This is a beautiful condenser microphone. It'll cost you a pretty penny. This is what they use at NPR Studios, and I'm just a big Neumann fan. And every great microphone deserves a great preamp, so for this we're going to be using the Avalon 2022. But just one of the channels. And then Avid's HD Omni audio interface that will bring us into Pro Tools. And then finally for our primary shot, we're gonna use this nifty Great Video Maker slider. And it's on a timer, so it moves nice and slow, and the camera will sort of track and do a tracking shot of Veronica as she reads her script. And then we may also get some B-roll at the same time with this camera that we're using. This is our Sony ZV-1, and that's it. Okay, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
So we'll just slip it into a time lapse and let you watch as she does this.
So what do you think? Are you ready to start recording your video podcast trailer? Let me know in the comments below. Also, while on Spotify, don't forget to check out our brand new trailer and follow Content Jefe. And before you go, 3 things. Check out these 2 videos right here. One is going to teach you how to write a podcast trailer and all of the elements that you need to include in your podcast trailer. And this one right here is going to teach you how to make videos to post video podcasts on Spotify. And the other thing, no olviden hacer la tarea. Bye, amigos.